This is Danny Limelight, and I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of having back once more. She is a victorious Kai the Kobra Bennett after her LFA debut and win. Kai, what's going on?
Man, nothing. Just home and recovering and relaxing. But I feel great. Yeah, that's it.
No, and how good does it feel? Because, like, I know you're kind of jonesing for a fight and what
Yeah,
have you, and it couldn't have happened in the best, yeah, a better scenario.
yeah.
Obviously, going into this, you were a Bellator MMA veteran and what have you, and then getting the call to LFA on UFC Fight Pass. Like, that's pretty fucking cool.
That was a huge thing for me, especially like for the comeback fight. Like that, I think that fighting for that promotion, everything that was a perfect. Just everything kind of aligned perfectly. It seemed like it wasn't too crazy, wasn't too whatever, and it was a great way for me to kind of get my name back out there, and especially with the win. So I'm happy the way it happened. I would totally love to fight for them again.
Yeah. So, how did as kind of things start to shape back up after the COVID and 2020 and what have you? How soon, or like how far out did you know and get the call for LFA?
Oh, so I had this earlier this year I had been talking like, okay, I think we want to take a fight like around the summertime. So we kind of been preparing for that, like me getting my weight down and just kind of getting my mind into fight mode. Like, so it wasn't necessarily out of the blue. It was more like, okay, um the timing, like when is it going to happen, and what promotions, more so like the little details. But we had already kind of been preparing for that. But I got the call, I want to say about 4 or 5 weeks out, so it really wasn't a super long camp. But everything went really well, and I think because I was training consistently and I'd already been, like I said, getting my weight down, it felt like I had, I guess, a longer camp because I was already training. So I wasn't it wasn't like I got the call and I was like on the sofa eating chips. I was actually training and being healthy and stuff. So it really all kind of happened perfectly, I think. I don't like to say things are perfect, but it definitely came together.
No, that works. And again, at a time where people are trying to figure things out, and also, I heard many of fight coaches and what have you, saying like it's hard, as gyms started to open up at various capacities and what have you, but to keep their fighters motivated without, having that the proverbial carrot to kind of dangle of a fight, right? So, it's kind of nice to actually be working towards something.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, like staying, like you said, staying motivated and being on top of it. Because I really wasn't always that way. Like I had to get back into it, and we had to be like, okay, Kai, like get it together, like get on your weight. Just because you don't have a fight doesn't mean that you're not going to have a fight. So for me, like kind of keeping that fire and regaining that fire was definitely the hardest part, especially coming off of like gaining a bunch of weight, being fat, and like COVID and all that. Like I was like, okay, I really had to tell myself like get it together. You gotta, you know what I mean? Like if you don't start now, when are you gonna start? So that was kind of what I told myself. Just start.
Wait, you mean corona weight? That's actually a thing? What? What? Huh? No.
They, you know what, they messed me up in the commentary because they announced my corona weight and I hated that. I was like, why would you say that?
Oh
They told
man.
me they wouldn't say anything.
Sometimes, Coach Rob says he approves not of the comment of you them bringing up your corona weight. That's some shady business. But also, I not to be like a little shady, but I think I'm gonna. First and foremost, I'm an interviewer and podcaster, not a reporter. But Cub Swanson, who is on the commentary team, like Friday night for your fight, right, along with Lauren Sanko and Ron Kruk, but he made a comment, I think, before his last fight, and he said that everybody involved in the MMA media
Mm.
should fight.
Oh. Oh, I mean, okay. If you know, if that's what you think.
But you know, here's the irony, Kai. Right? So, Kenda Perez, right, who hosts a litany of syndicated UFC shows, like the Pride highlights and everything. If you can catch those, well, Kenda Perez is no longer Kenda Perez. She's Kenda Perez Swanson, Cub
Oh,
Swanson's wife,
oh,
is involved in the MMA media, not having fought. She's a former ring card girl.
ah,
So, just,
well, I will keep my opinion to myself.
yeah. I'm, what I'm saying is, if there was some goofiness on commentary,
Yeah, yeah, that
I'm not looking at you, Cub, but bro, I'm looking at you.
we're looking at you, bro.
Just saying, just saying.
That's
I'm not,
that's a little strange. It's a little strange. I don't agree with that really at all. But I mean, hey, teach his own. Like have your opinions. But I think that you guys do a great job at what you do, and vice versa. Like we're good at what we do. You guys are good at what you
yeah,
do. Everybody
yeah,
has their lane. Like
and
don't
we
be a Jehovah's
converge.
Witness.
Great, exactly, and we all converge. It's not like I would love to him to go to like Ed Suarez because Ed Suarez owns LFA, and they're
Yeah,
like, bro, but you didn't fight.
right.
So, so I'm not
Exactly.
gonna
See
I'm
how
not gonna take
that
this commentary
conversation goes.
gig. I'm not gonna take this commentary gig because you didn't fight, bro. What?
I would love to see how that conversation goes. Like I just want, I want to see that. Like, see if you're still commentating after you say that.
I'm just saying. And now, I mean, obviously, was this your first like out of state fight?
So this was my first. No, so I all of my Bellator fights were in Thackerville, Oklahoma, at the WinStar Casino, and this was Shawnee, Oklahoma. But this was the first time I had to actually fly for a fight. So previously I was
Mm.
in Texas, so like I was able to drive, and that was really cool because I wasn't too far from home. But yeah, this was the first time I had to actually travel far, and I was like, man, like it was so frustrating because on the way there, I was cutting weight and I had like a 3 hour layover in Chicago. I'm so angry. I was so angry. Like my knees were hurting because of the flight. I was like, this is so stupid. I was so ready to punch this girl in the face. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And on the flight back home, I had to leave at like 3 a.m. in the morning. So like right after I fought, yeah, I had to get my stitches, and then I got some food, and I had to go right up to my room and pack my bags. I was like, all right, well, I'm out. I'm out. See you later. Yeah,
Wow.
the
So,
traveling was definitely not ideal this time. No.
and it's funny. I mean, you were talking about weight cutting on the plane versus like weight cutting on a car. I mean, kind of next time. I mean, obviously, it's all predicated on where the location of the next
Right.
flight comes. But I mean, do you have a preference of driving to versus flying?
I personally, I think the driving is a little bit more grueling because it's a little longer and it just feels like you're just a little bit more claustrophobic, if that makes sense. I know that doesn't make sense because you're in a plane versus a car, but for me, the plane goes a little bit faster. The only difference is having to like navigate the airport and like be around people. And that's the only thing that I would say that I prefer with the driving. You don't really have to talk to people. You don't have to be around anybody like that. So the whole like being around in the airport definitely was a little nerve wracking, having to like just be a little bit more on point, especially with being so tired and cutting weight. You're just like, oh my God, like I don't want to like have to do this right now. But I would say, yeah, I don't mind the flying because it happens a little bit quicker than the driving, I'd say. So yeah.
That works. That works. Everybody's got a preference, and obviously, as the career progresses and what have you, you're going to be able to, I guess, sample the different
Yeah,
varieties of life, driving versus
exactly.
flying, and what have you. You can't fight in your hometown every weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And that gets boring too. I want to go to Abu Dhabi too. I don't want to just
Hint,
fight
hint.
and
He,
I want to go to Abu Dhabi.
yeah, right. Hint, hint. I'm just saying. Um, no, and it's cool because as a fighter, I would assume it gives you a different kind of appreciation of
Yeah.
it to be maybe where you are now. You're at Elevation Fight Team Colorado and what have you, where there's a lot of MMA
Mhm.
in that, in that area, but there might not be, right? Or there might be fans that you
Yeah,
didn't have tap into, because you
yeah,
were kind of centered in where your fight community is, and to be
exactly.
appreciated by like a different audience, it's got to be cool.
It is a great feeling because I had so much support in like, the Texas Oklahoma scene, because that's kind of where that's where I established my career in Texas. And coming out here, really, I nobody knew me, I didn't know anybody else, so being able to build that, you know the name out here for myself, and like have people respect that, it's a great feeling, like, to because the MMA community really is essentially very small when you think about it. Like, everybody kind of knows everybody. And so like, it's really weird. Like, I'll meet people out here and they're like, "Yeah, I know so and so from so and so." I'm like, "What? Like, that's so weird. How do you know that person?" But yeah, it's cool. It's nice to like kind of bounce around and like just see the different just the different vibes in different places.
No, 1000%. Now, in terms of the outcome, right? A unanimous decision. Talk about a comeback. I mean, aside from a finish, that's pretty damn good. All three judges went your way. W- Now, obviously, to we're talking off air about, kind of nitpicking performances, and that's what great people do. Like, hell, I look at other podcasters and go like, man, I need to be doing that and
Yeah.
whatever. That makes, like you a true student of the game. But in terms of how you performed, like, were you pretty comfortable? You look pretty damn comfortable in the LFA octagon.
Yeah, so especially after being on for 2 years, initially stepping in there, I had like a moment of like, oh my God, like, I'm doing this. Like, after 2 years is crazy. So I definitely felt the feeling of not being in there after so long. I felt the nerves and I felt everything. But right away, like, I get very dialed in very quickly. So for me, any nerves that I feel, they just go away when when I know I have to get the job done. Like, when the door closes and I see my opponent, I'm like, okay, time to work. But for me, like, I had to adapt very quickly in that fight. Just because you come out and you kind of can feel the energy, you can feel the vibe of kind of like where the fight's gonna go. And I felt that right away, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to wrestle this girl. So in my mind, yeah, I kind of had to just I don't know, just be a little bit more aware. You know what I mean? Especially after all that time out of the cage. Just, I'm happy that I was able to adapt and I didn't really like freeze up. That was a really good thing for me.
Now you mentioned, and I love that you mentioned it because I never really, thought about it. But obviously during this kind of COVID era where there was like no fans in the arenas and what have you, but you talked about the energy and feeling what how the fight was going to essentially dictate itself.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
talk to me because I've never heard that. I assumed it, but I've never heard it out of anyone's like mouth. So, like, what is that feeling?
It's so weird. So like, in like in sparring and stuff, like, you can really, like, you're dealing with another person's energy. It's two energies in there. It's you and another person, so you can kind of feel, and that's kind of where these things come in. And when you're in the fight, it's very different because the intentions are different. Like, this person isn't just sparring you, they want to knock you out. They want to do this, they want to finish you. So you feel this energy, and like, the moment you move around, you can kind of it's hard to explain. You can feel like where the fight's gonna go. And you can, like, you feel each other out. And I think that was the feeling that I had, where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm gonna have to wrestle this girl. I think for me, I just kind of knew it off the bat. Like, I didn't in preparing for the fight, we knew that she was like a really good kickboxer, really good. She had a really great striking background. We knew that, but we really didn't have much to go on with her. We had the one fight that she had, and um, I didn't really study her too much. I let my coaches handle that, and so we didn't really want to prepare too hard for one specific thing that she would do, because we are like, we could prepare for this one thing, and then she comes out and does something completely different. So the whole camp was just about being kind of ready for whatever happens, not putting all of our eggs in one basket, not being like, oh, she's a karate girl, she's gonna do this, because she could have tricked me and come out and tried to wrestle me. So for me, it was just having to adapt and being comfortable with my skill set, and knowing that, okay, if it goes here, then I'm comfortable going there. And I don't want to just stick to one thing and be like, oh, I freak out when it doesn't go my way. So yeah, I think that was just the biggest thing for me, is being able to kind of see it and adapt in the moment.
No, 1,000%, and adapt well. You did, obviously earning the unanimous decision victory. Now, what was your coach's reaction after?
He was very happy. He was so proud, because backstage is funny. Backstage, I'm very intense. I'm very like just ready to go. And for whatever reason, this time I was so nervous. He saw me. He was like, "Just breathe, calm down." Like, and this was the most nervous I've ever been for a fight. I'm guessing because of the layoff and just because it really did feel like a first fight for me. I had those feelings like my very first fight where I was just like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's happening, oh my god." And so I really had to center myself, and he was really happy with me being able to come back and like fight through the adversity, and he was proud to see that because that was my first fight with him. That was my first fight with my team. So I think he was really happy to see that, like, okay, you can handle going all the rounds. You listen well, and I got good feedback from him. So that made me happy because you always want to make your coaches proud too, because it is also their skills are being put on the line as well, as coaches. So you want to make them happy. So I was glad that he felt proud.
No, absolutely. And we're all proud of you, Kai. I'm
Thank
just
you.
saying. I felt like beaming. I was like, oh my God, Kai. It was great. It was so great.
Thank you.
Um, now you talked a little bit about the intensity and the bit of nerves and what have you before the fight. So I mean, were you doing something to kind of play into your nerves and that kind of frenetic energy and maybe listening to music or whatever, or were you trying to kind of slow the heart rate down, kind of what was the instruction or what was like the mindset?
So when I'm backstage, I'm very I'm very to myself. I have my headphones on. I don't really like talking to anybody when I'm getting my hands wrapped. I have my headphones on, and my coach kind of knows, like, he would just like sign language me, to do whatever I need to do. So yeah, like I'm very just focused, and this time I was still focused and I still was in my zone, but I think it was just more of like a hyper energy. Usually I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm a bit more like, okay, this time I just kept moving. I was like, oh my god, I kept moving. Like I had all this energy. I just felt was pent up after so long, and I think that's really what it was. Like my body was, I think, reacting to the adrenaline, reacting to the nerves, and I just had to tell myself, like, bro, you've done this before. Relax. Like you've done this. Just relax. You're okay. So I had to tell myself that, like, it's gonna be okay. And we were backstage, and I watched my teammate fight, and that kind of helped me with my nerves a little bit too. I saw him walk out, and I think the most nerve wracking part is everything leading up to your walkout, right? So like you're backstage, you see everybody else, going out there to fight, and then you're like waiting on your turn, and then you hear they come back, and you're like, okay, you're 5 minutes out, and you're like, oh my god, So you start freaking out, and then for me, like I said before, once I get in there, once the doors lock, and like I lay eyes on my opponent, then I'm like, okay, like I'm like, all right, you're good, like the time has come. So yeah, I'm very intense, but this time I was definitely letting the nerves letting the nerves get to me a little.
It happens. It happens. And again, the minute that you stop feeling like nervous and whatever, like, are you really even doing this, bro? Because like,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes with the passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you didn't get to see too much of Shawnee, Oklahoma, right? You flew in, you fought, you were back on like a red eye and what have you. But one thing that you did say, right, and it seems kind of douchey. I'm not trying to do the Corona weight, but you said you did get a meal, after your fight. So, Kai Bennett, what was the meal, the victory meal for the Cobra
The
after your LFA
video.
109 debut?
So okay, this was, I was forced to kind of settle. I was forced to settle because the casino, all the things were closed, right? So they had this one place that I think they left open a little later for the fighters because they knew we were fighting late. So I got a cheese pizza and a cold ass beer. So good. Yes. That's what I wanted. I was like, you know what? Don't talk to me. Give me my pizza. And that's always my go-to. It was so good too. And the only thing is I was a little sad because it kind of messed my stomach up because I think it was like super greasy. But I was like, I don't even care. I was like, I don't even care. My stomach will be messed up. It was delicious. So yeah. I gave myself the weekend to kind of splurge. I had like 10 million donuts this weekend, and yeah, and then I'm like, you know what, I got to get back on it. Surprisingly, I didn't put on a lot of weight, so I'm gonna try to keep my weight low and just kind of ride that wave.
No, 1,000%. Which I mean, coming up next, like not to divulge. Obviously you've got the managers, you've got the coaches, and employing that. But like, do you see yourself fighting maybe before the end of the year?
Oh yeah,
Next.
100%, 100%. For me, just a little, just a little. I got a few bumps and bruises that I have to heal up, but other than that, no. I'm out a week for my stitches, and after that week, I'm getting right back in there. Gonna be training. So I know my manager told me we have a few things that we're looking at in terms of promotions and just in terms of like, deals and stuff like that. But I'm shooting for maybe like end of August, September. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it's not set in stone, but I for sure want to fight before the end of the year. Like, I just want to keep that ball rolling. And I know, right? I know. I want to keep the ball rolling. There's really no reason to not get back out there. My body, like I said, there's a few things I need to take care of, but nothing too serious. So once those are 100%, then I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, an incredible victory at LFA 109. And obviously, you wouldn't be here, literally and figuratively, if not for the team behind you, kind of ushering you to success. So, you know what we do. Take as long as you need. Let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Yeah. So first and foremost, shout out to my management team, Ian Shins, Jason Castile. Thank you guys. Have to go through my sponsors. So shout out to my sponsors. Let's start there. We have Eggways, we have the Dice team, Impact Mouth Guards, Guardians CBD, we have Low Blow. Oh my God, who am I forgetting? I know I'm forget. I think that's everybody. I think so. If I'm forgetting, I'm like, it's so many. I'm like, oh crap. But there's so many. Thank you to all my sponsors. The help is amazing. Thank you to my team Elevation, my coach Christian Allen. Thank you. And my family. I love my family. They're so supportive. Honestly, I could not do it without them. They're like in my corner. They pick me up when I'm down. When I come home crying, they cheer me up. So honestly, like, the support system I have is insane. So yeah.
I love it. You kind of have to have the insanity, right? That's kind
Yes.
of you got to have a little bit of that.
And shout out to you for having me on. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Anytime we get to kind of chop it up, this is amazing. You're tremendous. And I was like, again, a win for Kai, I feel, is like, aside from the opponent and her team, but a win for Kai is a win for everyone, I think.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just saying.
Thank
Now, for this second chance, just in case that, you might have forgotten a sponsor or what have you, but fear not, right? There's a way to find out more about the people who sponsor you and you yourself, right? So where can the good people find you on social media if they want more of Kai the Kobra Bennett?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Kai Bennett _ and Facebook at Kai Bennett. Instagram would probably be the best one. I'm getting a Twitter and I'm getting all these other things. So I'm going to get those done. And once I get those up, I'll put it on my Instagram and you guys can follow me there. So check it out.
Just saying. Again, thank you, Kai, for doing this once more. And this is the second of many. So again, I'm absolutely thrilled. And again, thank you guys for watching us here at According to Woods. Absolutely. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I mean, Kai, you're subscribed, right?
Yeah.
Damn right she is. So be like Kai the Kobra Bennett and subscribe to the podcast. But if you don't believe me or Kai, well, I don't know why you wouldn't. But here's also Zeta Zhang to convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang.